Hey Shalom. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahushai Basham Kwadash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of the Great Millstone, and salutations to all you sincere Akim. And this is your brother Abawan back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Yahushai Basham Kwadash. All praises and glories due, especially in the times that we're in. And in this video, this is a video from the channel Without History, okay, and it's titled The Black Kings of Scotland. And I don't really want to say too much else. Let me just play the video.
History is a lie. From the book When Scotland Was Jewish. As cursory inspection will affirm, many prominent Scotsmen look typically Scottish.
And this is the actual part of the book that is actually quoting from. The Scottish royal stewards were equally dark and Semitic in appearance. Of Charles II Dusky's appearance, his mother, Queen Henrietta Maria, had been half mortified, writing after her confinement that the child was so dark she was ashamed of him. He was quickly dubbed the Black Boy. Enemies made out that he was a black bastard begotten by a black Scotsman, because like the elders and the apostles, and specifically the apostle Tahas, he always says that the word Scots means black because the Scottish, right? Because Jake ruled in Scotland, Jake also ruled in Ireland, and even in this video, the narrator will go into it as well about how Scotland and Ireland were originally ruled over by Jake, all right, the Israelites. Now, of course, he will use the term African, okay, which is of course that byword and proverb that has been placed upon our people, the Israelites, by Esau Edom. But let's remember that the book that he's reading from is speaking about Semitic Hebrew Israelites, so-called blacks, okay, and there's a separation between Hebrew Israelite blacks, so-called Negroes, and Hamites, which are just your so-called Africans, right? The real so-called Africans. So let's play the video some more, because this is actually going into it, man. You see that when the Hebrew Israelites say that, yeah, Jake was ruling in Europe, okay, before Jake was ruling in Europe, especially during the Dark Ages, going into the Renaissance, right? These are books that are bringing up this record and bringing it back, because you have a lot of these cities that are in Europe, right, who their names goes back to Jake, right? Speaking about how dark their cities and the rulers of it were. Okay, let's play the video.
In fact, they appear rather dark and Semitic. Yet, here they are, Scottish aristocrats. The Scottish royal stewards were equally dark and Semitic in appearance.
Talking about key Africans who have played the part in your...
He said it right there. African, but we're not Africans. We are the Israelites, and it was Israelites, okay? The dark-skinned Semitic Israelites. That's why it said when Scotland was Jewish, and something alright. I should say when Scotland was so-called Jewish, right? That's when Scotland was ruled by Israelites, and it wasn't just the Scots, the Irish, the British, the Scots, the Welsh, that whole UK region. It was ruled by Jake, okay, at the time, okay, right? Because the original inhabitants of it, the original British, the original Scottish, the original Irish were Jakes, okay, Israelites. Right, so let me get a quick preset. I actually wanted to bring this out. So let's get a quick preset, right? Because all you Negroes, man, that are into this whole, being an African thing, right? And the big thing that is going on in America, Babylon the Great now is not even being, Jake comes from Africa anymore, right? He's just focusing on, the Northern Kingdom, right? And people that, came from, or rather, people that were reclassified as Northern Kingdom. But what a lot of these Jakes in the world, like so-called Negroes that are in the world, don't realize that Jake was also ruling in Europe as well. Okay, so let's get this quick precept. That should be the book of Jeremiah. All right, let's get this precept. Right, so this is the book of Jeremiah 16, or is it 6 verse 16? Right, Jeremiah 6 verse 16. Let's go to that. So this is the book of Jeremiah 6 verse 16. Thus saith Yahweh, stand ye in the way and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Can. And that's why we're going back in the historical record. That's why we're going back in history and showing you, right, the history of our people, all the way from the beginning, right, from the Genesis, from being is from when Israel became a nation in a captivity in Egypt up until now, and the journey which our people have gone through all over the earth, and different achievements and different things that people have been doing on the earth, right? And now you are beginning to see, maybe because it's Jake, right? It's the Hebrew Israelites that are saying it, that a lot of our people that are in the world won't believe in it. So if more and more people come to corroborate what we are saying, right, to tell you that yes, it was the so-called Negroes, right, the so-called Latinos and Native American Indians, basically the Israelites that were ruling in Europe during the Dark Ages. Maybe you will believe, right? The Byzantines, okay, yeah, the Scots, the Irish, the Celtic, the British, the Anglo-Saxons, right? These were all Israelites, and they were ruled by Israel, right? Now, then somebody will now ask, well, if they were all Jakes, what is the why is the reason why Esau is suddenly in those places? And the first thing is this, man. There aren't a lot of Edomite Scots. Let's just get that out of the way first, okay? There aren't a lot of Edomite Scots. There aren't a lot of Edomites Brits. There aren't a lot of Edomites Irish, right? Even the total population of places like Ireland, Scotland. Let's do that real quick. Let's do that real quick. We'll just do total population of the UK, okay? Because it's one of the deceptions that Esau does, makes you believe that these devils, they are more than they actually are, or there are more people, right? So for comparison, this is the population of Nigeria. So yeah, Nigeria. So as of early 2026, Nigeria's population is estimated to be over 242 million. As Africa's most populous nation and the sixth largest in the world, Nigeria has a high growth rate of approximately 2.1% annually. So I believe that that's a lie right there. That's not accurate, because last calculation was up to over 270 million actually in estimation. So let's go to total population of the UK, okay? And this is of course including all the recent immigrants, right? You have Jakes there, you have the heathen there. So the total population of the UK, the United Kingdom, or the full island of the United Kingdom, not just England, but all of the UK. You have Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and I believe there's another country as well. The England, and I believe there's another country as well. I can't really remember the last country. Anywho, as of 2024, the total population of the United Kingdom is approximately 69.2 million, showing steady growth from the 66.7 million in 2020. Projections indicate the population continues to rise, exceeding 68 million by 2025. The population is primarily concentrated in England, with a significant majority identifying as white British. So basically, when you look at these populations and you look at these nations that Jake was originally ruling, right, and you see all these Edomite looking people, okay, a good portion of those people are straight up Israelites, right? And then you now have another portion of it that are Edomites. But the thing is that the portion of Edomites aren't even really that many. All right. So it's not as though Jake got completely expelled from the land. It's just that they have taken the appearance of the heathen, and they look like the heathen because our people are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth and have begun to take the appearance of the heathen and have begun to look like the heathen. So let's get that precept as well. Right? So speckled bird, right? So this is the book of Jeremiah 12, verse 9. Because the thing is like this, man. Look, alright. There are lots of different scattered populations all over the earth that you don't even know exist, right? Who the hell knew that there was a group of Eastern European people that look like the Dagestani, right? That's why all these new MMA fighters that are Eastern European are always coming from Dagestan, and those are all jakes, man. Who the hell knew that there was a group of people in Eastern Europe like that? There are different scattered populations out here that you're not really even aware of, okay? But anyway, this is the book of Jeremiah 12, verse 9. Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour Canaan. So the Israelites, right, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, they come in all shapes, colors, and sizes. Okay, so let me not say sizes because that doesn't matter, but in all colors and nationalities, right? So you have scattered Israelites scattered around the four corners of the earth, right? But the reason why is because if you go back to the historical record, you see that Jake was originally ruling in those lands, right? But because of the curses, our people not only fell down from power, but ultimately were chased out of the land, right? Scattered into other parts of the world, and also eventually fell into the transatlantic slave trade. A good example is what happened in Spain, where the Jews were expelled from Spain, right? And I would imagine that that happened in various other European countries as well, okay? Where you had the Jews being expelled, Jake being put in captivity, being put in chains, right? Or just straight up being washed out through mixing, right? Or through breeding with these Edomites, okay? So we the fact, right, of the history, right, and you look at, if you make that diligent search and you look at your history, was Jake that was ruling in these regions, especially in the UK, right? He was ruling in Europe, okay, throughout the Dark Ages. Hell, even in Rome, right? When you go back to the good kings of Rome, right? When you go back to the Eastern Roman Empire, Nerva, Constantine, Marcus Aurelius, them, right? It is Jake that was in power, because that was, really when Jake was beginning to get back into power, get back into rule, right? Because Esau's kingdom was basically put on a hold, okay? He was cast into the bottomless pit, as the scriptures say. But let's continue on with the video.
European history.
Of Charles II's dusky appearance, his mother, Queen Henrietta Maria, had been half mortified, writing after her confinement that the child was so dark she was ashamed of him. He was quickly dubbed the Black Boy.
Was it? I just want to ask a question right at the beginning. Have these people been written out of history? Have they been forgotten by most of us? And how hard was it to tease them out?
Well, Florence, what delicious masterpiece have you prepared for us this time?
Well, for you, my queen.
In the 10th century in Scotland, the king was called Dub Mac Mael Coluim. This is beyond interesting because the old Scottish meaning of dub is black, as you can see from this old dictionary.
Let me just pause this as well, because if you go into the etymology of the word, I think you can even still get the meaning of black, right? If you use certain words, okay, if you go into the etymology of certain words that have the dub in it, right? Like for example, Dublin, Ireland. That's really what Dublin means in Ireland. Land of the blacks, right? And I believe there's this word called I don't really know how to say it, but it's like Odubno or something like that. And I've gone into this before. I've done a video on it, right? Let's see if I can find that word. Dubno. I've forgotten how it's pronounced. I forgot how it's pronounced. I have to bear with me. Something like Odu. No, something like that. I don't know how it's pronounced, but really it goes back to black, right? Because how it's pronounced. Not O'Donnell. Not O'Donnell, because they don't really give you that Odu. Man, I can't find this. Yeah, I can't find this. Not O'Donnell. But something like Odu. No, but now you say the word, right? Basically it goes back to it means black foreigner, right? In Irish. Let's see if we can use that. Let's see if we can use that term. Black foreigner in Irish. Yeah, it is. This is Dub Girl. This is it right here. This one I'm talking about. This word here, Dub Girl and Fin Girl. Okay, so Dub Girl and Fin Girl, or Dub Genti, and Fingeti are Middle Irish terms used to denote different rival groups of Vikings, and the Vikings as well were also Jake. Okay, so they're also dark skin and black. So when you're watching Vikings and you're seeing these Edomites running around, fight, that's not what the original Vikings look like. The original Vikings were Jakes. They were also on black as well. All these damn Edomites talking about some he was Vikings and shit, and you see they are stealing. They are doing exactly what the scriptures say. They covered the faces of the judges thereof, right? Because that's exactly what this cover up is. And if you Google a picture of King Charles, which is King Charles II, which is the English king that the narrator is speaking about, you will see that he's been whitewashed, man. He looks like a straight up Edomite, right? You see a straight up Edomite with Jake hair, with coily, that long ass coily hair that these are the Jake that was ruling in Europe, the hairstyle that Jake that was ruling in Europe preferred, right? You actually see a picture like that because they've been whitewashed, man. Esau trying to hide the fact that Jake was ruling in Europe at one point. So yeah, let's keep going into it. Literally, Dub and Fingel is translated as dark and fair foreigners, or black and white foreigners. And you see, this is how Esau mixes in the truth with the lies, right? Now it's, oh well, they were also white. This is how Esau mixes up with this is the truth with the lie, right? And similarly, Dub slash Fingeti as dark black and fair white heathens. Similar terms are found in Welsh chronicles, probably derived from Gaelic usage, right? So even in Wales, you also have Jake ruling in Wales that are also referring to, right, the different they're also referring to these black Vikings as dark foreigners. Okay, so yeah, that was Dub Gael. And now Esau is trying to say that, oh well, Fingal is also going into white foreigners. So he's trying to, because that's basically how these devils operate, right? They're mixing the truth with the lies. When they expose when they bring out the truth, right, they also have to mix a lie in with it as well, because that's how you keep the deception going, right? But that's the idea. The word dub, okay. I don't know if you go into, I don't know if you can find that if you go into the Etim online. So let me try that real quick. I don't know if you can find that in the Etim online, right? Because you have different meanings for the word dub. But I want to see if you can find it in the Etim online. So yeah, I'm probably not going to see it, right? But the idea is that the word dub actually does go back to black, okay, or having dark skin. So let's keep playing the video, because there's still a little bit more to get. And this is how it starts the video, man. This is how it starts the video, right? And that's just deep right there. Who even knew that there was a book like that, the black when Scotland was Semitic, right? And it's basically going into when Jake was ruling in Scotland, and the different codes that were mentioned and different codes that were used to show you that. So not only was it the so-called, right, dark-skinned, right, Israelites that were ruling in Scotland, right? That's exactly what was going on.
And in old Wikipedia depictions of the man, he was shown as follows, but this has since been replaced. If you read on, you'll see that he was called the Black. Further to this, in the book The Mystery and Legends of Scotland, the author confirms the existence of purely black people. We see one of them in the person of Kenneth the Niger. During the 10th century, Kenneth the Niger ruled over 3 provinces in Scotland. The archaeologist and writer David McRitchie declared that the Moors dominated Scotland as late as the time of the Saxon kings.
Like I said, Jake was ruling in Europe, so I don't think there's anything even much else to get in this video, because he's already hit all the points I wanted to speak on as well. Right, so that basically just that Jake was ruling in Europe. Okay, so now I have the Wikipedia, or rather the AI overview for Kenneth the Niger, which is Kenneth the Third, ruled from 997 to 1005, known in some sources as Kenneth Niger or Kenneth Dub. Okay, Dub, right? Once again, meaning the black, right? So when you see the word dub being used, especially when it comes to a European or a UK context, right, whether it's in Irish or in Welsh, just understand that the word there is referring to black. So when you see Dublin, that's land of the blacks, right? And even people that have last names that are, I don't really know any. I don't really can't really remember any last names that are use that use the term dub, but that's the you get the idea. The same with Moor as well, okay? Because Moors isn't Moorish. The Moorish, okay, the Moors one called Moors because they were Muslims, right? That's just the lie that Esau pushes. They were called Moors because they were black, okay? If you go into the word Moor, right, Moreno, right, that's black in the Spanish, right? The word Moor, they were called Moors because they were black, because you had Jewish Moors, you had Christian Moors, okay? So yeah, so Kenneth the Third, known in some sources as Kenneth Niger or Kenneth Dube, meaning the Black, was an early king of Scotland. While his moniker suggests a dark complexion or hair, it is subject of debate whether this implies African ancestry or simply a descriptor like dark haired, often cited in discussions regarding potential hidden black history in medieval Europe. Can't. That's what Esau say now. Oh well, we don't really know whether this dude that was named the Black is actually black. Maybe he just had black hair. Right, because Edomites that didn't have black hair. That's how Esau wants to deceive the earth, okay? I'm making it seem like Edomites that didn't have that had black hair were so rare at the time, right? Even in all actuality, what was actually rare was the blonde hair and the blue eyes, right? Because a lot of different groups did not consider it, because it was considered leprous, okay, in the ancient world. That's the idea. It was considered leprous in the ancient world, see. But when you bring up guys like this, right, Kenneth the Niger, there's another saint, okay, that was a Moor, Peter the Black, different groups of people that were clearly, referred to as black and dark skin, and so-called Negro, okay, in the history. All right, Esau will deny, try to deflect and say, oh well, we can't confirm, we don't know, even though the record clearly state that this is a black person, right? This is a Moor, by the way. That which is also another way of saying black, right? It's like say it's like writing that somebody was a Negro, right? Or if you go back to some records back in back in the 20th century, right? You see in the US they will write that somebody's a Negro, okay? That's like Esau coming today and saying that, oh, we don't know whether the person was actually a Negro, okay, or not, right? That's what basically what Esau is doing, because Esau wants to say that, oh well, race didn't exist at the time, right? Nobody had those ideas of race. It was all about ethnicity. Well, certainly the new invention of race which Esau created doesn't exist, but hey, somebody hey, these different people know, this have descriptors, okay, and know a dark skinned person and somebody that has certain skin tones, okay. So there is a descriptor for these things, right? But of course, this is how the devil operates, man. Hiding the history, changing the narrative, right? And all these things are being revealed in this time, and these devils have been exposed. So this is the book of Job 9 verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Can. And this is exactly what Esau Edom has done, right? Because we're not just the Most High, our Lord Yahweh and the prophets, but even Jake that was ruling in the past, and the history of our people, right? Which is just showing you the wickedness that Esau has committed against our people, because not only has he oppressed and destroyed our people, but he has also destroyed the history and the legacy of our people in his kingdom, okay? Which that's he's just the devil through and through, man. And Yahweh Sham Yahushai Basham Rakakwadash Shalak Abad Wa Rayam on you devils, man. So with that, I'm going to end the video right there. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahushai Basham Rakakwadash Wa Abad Babala, and through the Spirit. I hope you are calm and you are quiet, you are edified. Shalom.